For more on this now, we're joined by Director of Sasol Solar Challenge, Rob Walker, and he joins us now via our video link. Rob, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. I mean, you are taking part in the Sasol Solar Challenge. Perhaps let's start off here. Tell us more about this challenge.
So I'm Bobby. So the Sasol Solar Challenge has been running since 2008, and it's an event where the student teams arrive. They design, build, and then compete with vehicles that are experimental technology across an event that runs 8 days across South Africa on public roads, essentially trying to see which team can get the most kilometers by their vehicle driven by the sun. It's important to note that these are experimental vehicles, so the intent here is to develop, enhance, or understand technology that we can then find in our day-to-day mobility solutions. So the vehicles that people will see on the roads are built by these student teams. They build them over a year to a year and a half, and then they come and they drive them during everyday South African road conditions, traffic, climates, during different areas, up and down mountains. And it really helps them develop that technology that we can then hopefully find in cars of the future tomorrow.
I mean, 13 vehicles are taking part in this challenge, right? And one would ask, how were they actually selected?
So we accept entries mostly from university teams from around the world. The vehicle you can see behind me here is a vehicle that was built from a team out in Belgium. They've been in South Africa for a few weeks now, and they're competing on the Sasol Solar Challenge. We have teams from as far as the Netherlands, Belgium, Qatar, as well as Turkey, so all around the world coming to South Africa, as well as 7 local South African teams competing. Essentially what happens is the teams send us an expression of interest to compete. They have to go through a number of different steps, documentation, submit us design plans to ensure that their vehicles will comply with certain rules and regulations. And then obviously it's the whole process prior to the challenge starting where we ensure that these vehicles are safe to operate on South African roads, that the occupants will be safe. They're issued with temporary licensing so that they can then compete and drive on South African roads across a just over 2,500 kilometer course throughout the course of 8 days. So in terms of the process, we take entries from around the world, but really we end up with 13 top teams here in South Africa competing every 2 years on the Sasol Solar Challenge.
What goes into building these vehicles? I mean, just looking at them, they're quite unique.
Yeah, look, they're very unique. So what we do as an organization is supply the teams with a set of, I suppose you could call them rules. It's similar to other motorsport where you're given a set of regulations that you have to build the cars according to. And in essence, the difference is that these are electric vehicles. So they have an electric drivetrain and they have a battery system. But instead of generating their energy from a wall socket or a power point, they generate their power from their energy source is their solar arrays, like you can see behind me here. Highly efficient, lightweight. The teams really are looking for the ultimate, most efficient solution to drive a vehicle across South Africa powered by purely the energy of the sun. So the vehicles are as lightweight as possible. They're engineered to the absolute nth degree. And by doing that, we see the limits of the technology that we currently have, and we explore the limits of technology that we may get tomorrow. So, they experiment with different options. They have different strategies when it comes to battery side, to how they're going to compete. And all of that allows us to have a number of different vehicles, different sizes, different shapes. And we end up with a number of different vehicles competing here in South Africa.
What does this challenge mean, especially for a time where the world is moving away from fossil fuel vehicles?
So I think in Bali, the challenges like this, there's a few of them around the world. The Sasol Solar Challenge is regarded as one of the major ones in the world. And what this means is that we get together with the brightest and best minds in the world, and they look for the opportunity to say, how do we be more mobile as a human species, but how do we do that in a manner that's sustainable, and that's done in harmony with the environment. So I think it's important, all of us will agree, human mobility is a basic human right. We all should have the ability to move around. But we do have to acknowledge the reality that we have to do that in a way that's more sustainable and more in line with the environment around us. So events like this are the opportunity to stress test the technology. When you have good ideas or good options, good technology, it's only as good as when you stress test it. So does it actually work when the environment isn't ideal? Does it work in traffic? Does it work in difficult road conditions? Because if it works in all those conditions, then it's something that we should look at to say, can we move this going forward? And is it something that we can implement in the future in commercially available vehicles?
How far is this challenge at the moment? And we do understand that, it does come to an end next week in Cape Town.
So at the moment, we are on day 2. We have arrived in the northern city of Zeerust. We departed Sasolburg this morning. The teams came through into Heidelberg. And then came into Zeerust this morning. We move across the northwest into the Northern Cape and then cross down to the Western Cape. In total, the teams will cover a distance just short of 2,500 kilometers at a minimum. Some of the top teams will do close to 4,500 kilometers through optional loop stops. So you could see some of the teams doing close to 4,500, even 5,000 kilometers in the vehicles that they have designed and built themselves.
Rob, thank you so much for your time this evening. A pleasure talking to you.